So program sustainability. And to start off our discussion, I thought I would ask you to write in the chat, what do you think? How important the whole topic is for you? Is it and we'll talk more, and I have some materials I prepared to talk about what program sustainability is about, what stages it has, what it implies, what best practices to get it done. But just to start with, what do you think? And I would encourage you to write in the chat, is it for your RLC, for your office, is it #1 priority? Is it top 3, top 10? Maybe it's low important at this stage. Maybe like you have other challenges to follow. Maybe not an issue at all. Just to share what you think about this. Please feel free to write in the chat box. So I saw Binta Kuda wrote that it's top 3 challenge. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. What about the rest of you guys? What do you think about the program sustainability? Is it something on top of your mind? Feel free to write in the chat. All right, Harry, top 1. That's good. This is encouraging for me. So we're talking about something important. Jasper, #1. Padmore, definitely a priority. Exclamation mark. All right. So Rich, #1. Thank you for sharing. Went to top 3. Christian, #1. Okay. George, would you like to share? Beatrice, #1.
Mine is #1.
#1, good, thank you. Caroline, #1. So, so those who wrote like top 3, right? I saw Bento wrote top 3, and Binta wrote earlier also top 3 challenge. What other challenges are you sharing? Like, are you facing along with sustainability? Just like, why is it not? And I know are those who said top 1, but to start with you, like, if you can a bit shed light on like what are competing demands on your side? You're free to talk.
Sergey, in my case, the reason why I put top 3, it's because for 4 years, it was a top 1 priority. And suddenly, with discussions with USAID and so on, sustainability was no longer the thing to discuss. It was like, just focus on the goals that we gave you, and then the sustainability aspect will come. And some challenges that we have, the first one is, it might seem not very important, but the success stories and data collection on our alumni is one of the biggest challenges that we have today. And the second one is the sustainability, of course. And the third one is to make sure that our program reach the real target, meaning the new target, meaning the refugees, people from minorities, rural areas, and so on. Those are challenges for the program. But it doesn't mean that the sustainability is not important. It's just that we slow a little bit the actions that we do around sustainability. But thanks to JMU, I'm having a training that I was requesting for years now. Maybe for the next 2 coming years, it's going to be like the top priority. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing, Binta. And this is, yeah, and I can see why. Definitely, like your community outreach, reaching out to the people you're helping is, it should be, of course, is very important. And also building your database with alumni. I also can see why it's important, because you can leverage. They can help you building and expanding your program, right? So I see it's important, but to mention, I'm really glad that you all share the same opinion that program sustainability is top 1, top 3 initiative. No one said it's like low importance. No one said it's low priority. No one said it's not an issue at all. It seems like we share it's important, right? It's importance. And Binta, just because, and I'm curious because you started talking about this, and I will have to say in this regard later in today's session. But you mentioned then in your interaction, was it, you mentioned USA, you mean USAID that when you were interacting, there was a communication that sustainability will come at a later stage, right? This is what you meant, that so far, let's focus on some strategic objectives and then sustainability will come. This is what you meant, right?
Exactly, yes, yeah.
Okay, thank you. And Bento, you also mentioned it's like sustainability for your RLC. You think it's like among top 3. What would be other competing demands for your RLC?
Yes. Good afternoon, everybody.
And by the way,
the reason
very nice picture. I like your picture. Is it from your graduation?
Yeah. So the reason why I put in the top 3 is because I was looking at it historically. So in the past 7 or so years, we have failed as a program to raise substantial amount of resources to be able to support the project. So looking back, for me, what it basically means, simply put, is that the project is not packaged or is not performing at a level that can attract funding. Or so how do we get the project to that point before we even start talking about, because when we talk about sustainability from a resource mobilization perspective, not anything else. So how do we get the project to the point where institutions or individual resources saying, we want to work with you, and here's money for you, and here are the resources for us to support you to achieve whatever it is that you want to achieve. So that's why I put it on the top 3. It is still, so if you linked it to it, it is, I would say it's number 1, but there's other things that must be considered in terms of getting the project funding ready or attractive enough to be to mobilize resources.
Yeah, good points. Yeah, resource mobilization, right? How to keep it going, to have enough resources, especially financial others. I see why it's important. And those of you who wrote the number 1 priority, right, for you, why do you think so? Why did you, so some of you put exclamation mark, someone said it's clearly number 1 priority. Why? What makes you think so? So, for example, yeah, please, Harry.
I think simply put, if we can sustain what we are doing, all the other challenges really don't matter, because you basically need to have resources to do the basics, and then be in a position to, for instance, make sure that your program that you are delivering is attractive to other funders or potential funders. And the issue with USAID, although we have some assurances for them that at least the program will continue for a few more years, we don't know what's going to happen thereafter. And, with a potential political change in the US in 2024, that might also impact them continue to support us. So meaning that it needs to be in the forefront to say if any eventuality were to happen, that we would still be in a position to continue. the program as we try to make sure that we satisfy not only our stakeholders, but potentially future partners as well.
Yeah.
But we still keep our doors open.
Yeah, thank you, Harry, for sharing. I'm with you. I see this like uncertainty with the partnership with USAID, right? Like, how will it continue? What is political landscape in this? How will it affect? We don't know, right? So that's why it's so important we think about the program sustainability. George, please go ahead. You also wanted to add.
Yeah, thank you. Mine, I just wanted to say that sustainability is really key because you see, for donor-funded programs like we're implementing, sustainability is one area that we definitely have to think about because funding cannot continue perpetually over the years. Yeah, so at some point, of course, there has to be a way to sustain the program in terms of, making sure that we are able to finance the inputs, take care of the inputs, and also the impact that the program is generating. And that's why we talk of program sustainability. We talk about organizational sustainability and also financial sustainability, where we basically have to work, with various partners to ensure that that happens. So in terms of program, of course, our alumni who have gone ahead, and they are cascading the training, they can be able to continue on with the leadership training in terms of organizational, based on the capacity assessment, are we able to really continue doing this as universities, over and beyond, USAID funding, and also financial, do we have other organizations where we can be able to leverage? Yeah, they are interested in the impact, so private sector, is it willing to come in and support? So that's why it's priority number one for us, because we understand that there is what we call donor fatigue. Yeah, so priorities do change. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, George. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, good points. And the term, right, interesting, donor fatigue and this kind. Yeah, it's top. And now I see what you mean by top priority, and hopefully we will find some ways, like, and which would help us to sustain this long-lasting impact. Before I move on to share some messages and materials on program sustainability, is there anyone else who would like to chime in and to add to the discussion? All right, I will have it later. There will be several other opportunities to have open discussion and share, but let me continue with my material. So, all right. So I thought too, as a good example and simple example, it will be to share. So I'm based in Harrisonburg in Virginia. This is where James Madison University is located. And here in our area, we have a local initiative. It's about, like clean up we have a local stream. It's called Black's Run. And there is local initiatives to clean it, to make sure the water is not polluted, and this initiative is sponsored by the city. So city in this case is a major donor. It finances and it helps to organize resources, and it helped to establish the program, right? However, and also, like, you might think this is a small initiative. It's but at the same time, it takes a lot of preparation, right? It takes a lot of preparation to run. So you need to plan. You need to plan because there are certain days, certain ways. For example, we have a Black's Run cleanup day. So it's a big day when we would like to mobilize schools. There would be students come in different parts of the stream from different areas. For example, there would be a few other occasions. There will be a few other events. Even so, the message I would like to say, even in these small initiatives, it takes a lot of efforts and planning and resources. You need to have resources, right? Because you need to run certain publicity. You need to promote and advertise. You need to have some merchandise. For example, this morning I just took it back from the back of my car. This is car magnet. So this program, a local stream cleanup, it has a lot of merchandise. It can be like, some notebooks, it can be car magnets, it can be, and other things they do, right? There you need some tools, you need also to cover, etc. So you need planning, you need energy, right? And what if at some point, and now since there are many volunteers, there is a board running this initiative and things, etc. But when the city at some point will stop, what will we do? How will we keep it running, right? One way would be, for example, like you might think like, bake sale. In the US is popular, the children or teenagers, they would be baking some cookies, etc. And they would be having the stand in the street, people stopping, you can have soda, lemonade, right? But at the same time, it's not a solution. It's not a solution for the local stream, it's not a solution for big initiatives, saying nothing about yellow, right? It's different. There should be some sustaining opportunities for funding. And this is what many of you mentioned, right? So Harry mentioned, George mentioned, so this financial sustainability, but also organizational program. This is all matters, it's important. But I would like also to go beyond. It's not only opportunities for funding. Program sustainability is bigger, right? So resources is important, of course. But what about if we look at this local example in Harrisonburg, where I live? What about if some people get tired? Like George mentioned, like we have some fatigue. Some people, like they showed up once, twice, and now like they want to try to experience something different. What if some key people leave? Like people who run we have key leaders. What if these leaders leave? Or what if some key people, for example, someone who has a van, who brings people, or truck with all the equipment, it's all volunteers. If someone leaves, we'll be deprived of a lot of support. And what if community's attention switches? What is like it switches from like Black Run stream cleanup, it switches to another initiative, right? So what should we do, right? How to keep people attention, how to keep them mobilized, how to make them top priority for what we are doing, right? How to find other donors, right? How to what way? So and it goes beyond and beyond. It's not only this, and there are many other things. How to make it work? So and let me, and I will. So let me. I will share some theory and some like best practices behind, and then we'll get into discussion again. So when it comes to change process, and this is I will use this bigger name. So we are talking about change. So what Yellow is doing is change. You're changing your local communities. You're bringing new entrepreneurs. You're empowering women. You're helping many other ways. So you're bringing this change. And when it comes to change, remember from our last session, when we talk about organizational design, what first, typically, any change, when it starts, there should be a vision. There should be kind of a mission. What kind of gap are we going to fill? What problems do we want to address? So someone visionary wanted to help. Someone visionary saw this need and wanted to. So we start with this, and I call this stage initiation. And I assume, I don't know, like everything, but my assumption that USAID, it started the program together with some of you, with a few leaders from your communities, and then it expanded further, right, etc. So at some stage there was initiation, there was a kind of strategy, some initial strategic objective. So the next stage was implementation, and this is where you are now. When you started implemented, and you already did for several years, you has been doing an excellent job. I saw so many good reviews. I heard from people. I look from your website how many graduates you have and how you. So at this stage, and when you're doing all this excellent job, so this is when you start when you realize the strategic objectives. This is your daily operations, your daily routine, what you are doing. And now the next one, and this is the topic of today's discussion, is about sustainability. How to move on from the implementation of the first strategic objectives, how to make it a repeated practice, how to make it sustainable for years to go. So it's not like we have 1 or 2 graduations we have our first alumni and we did. and how do we continue, how to make it long lasting, right? And here all stages are important. We need initiation stage, someone who has a vision, who shares, implementation stage, when we get results, when we get first results, when we have very big input, and how we continue. But saying that, although all stages are important, I would like to especially emphasize the last stage, sustainability. And sustainability is especially important because it's about long period of time that serves as a true noticeable indicator of improvement, right? Yes, it's important to have this vision, it's important to implement, but it's hard, but it's doable. We can do it. It's much harder to keep it over time. It's much harder to make this impact long lasting. So it's not one time off, it happened, we helped some people, and then we withdrew. We left it, the scene, and then the change, like slowly, but it goes back to where it was. So this is a true indicator. It's a true signal whether the whole change is successful, if it keeps over time. That's why today's topic, program sustainability, is especially important, right? So, and this is a question for you. So this is like the 4 terms: institutionalization, continuation, routinization, and sustainability. What do you think is the relationship between all of that? You're welcome to write, you're welcome to speak. Take a guess. Is it like the like one by one process? Is it?
Sorry, I didn't get the question right. What
Yeah.
is the connection between sustainability?
Yeah, like how they like continuation, routinization, sustainability. Are they related, all these? Like what do you see the relationship among them?
Okay.
I'm just guessing. Once we have established a project or a program that we have formalized it within the structures of the organization, we start practicing on it, and as we practice, it becomes part of our daily activities. It become a planned activities in our plans. So, and something that you always practice becomes a routine. It's internalized among every participant. And by so doing, everyone get accustomed to it. And the more we work on it, the more we improve on it, the more it attracts interest, and the more the people participate and become sustainable.
Yeah, you're right. It's all very interrelated. Thank you, Monchar, for sharing. Also, Harry wrote that all these terms are interrelated. You need to have proper processes, right? And they're reliable and adaptable, right? And this is like the final stage of the program, metamorphosis, right? This is let me move my bar, right? Padmore, thank you for sharing. Carolyn, all geared toward the progress of the project. All 3 aspects are necessary, right? So you're on the spot, right? So also what I mentioned, it's so different people, when they started thinking about like having long-term impact, they thought from different perspective. But today's, most of these terms, they are about signalizing about the same. So it's like different names, but actually we are talking about the same concept. So here I'm bringing like different literatures, different scholarship, different practitioners thinking about this. So when someone talks about the continuation, change continuation, is basically we are talking about program sustainability. Another term would be to use routinization. We want to have it like kind of routinized in our practice, or institutionalized, or we want to, incorporate in what we are doing. So basically, when we would hear these terms, we are talking about the same idea, how to keep it running, how to make it long term, right? So this is important for us to see when we refer to these terms, that we are actually on the same page. It's about, all right. Now, so when, again, going back to this stage change process, we will see, and this is like, so this is Padmore. Thank you for sharing. So Padmore also wrote in the chat that this is like the final stage of the program metamorphosis, right? So if you see, so we have initiation, we have implementation, then we are moving on towards sustainability, right? And but I would like to say that this may be deceptive, right? And this is kind of the thinking, right? So, for example, that we let me review, right? So that we discussed at the very beginning, right? For example, that we discussed at the very beginning that and the practice with USAID, for example, let's focus on our like daily operation, let's implement our goals and we'll think. But this thinking, I would like to say, it was prevailing in 80s and 90s, but today thinking is different. If you want to be successful with program sustainability, then it should not be the final stage of the whole program evolution. So the important point that implementation and sustainability, they all should happen at about the same time. So you cannot postpone postpone sustainability till later, because it will be late. It will be too late if you do it in the end. It's very important that you already start thinking about program sustainability, especially in the implementation stage, but also you have the first thought, the first ideas in the initiation stage, right? So sustainability should be planned at the very beginning. So that today thinking how, and it is based on research, which programs became sustainable, which succeeded. And actually I will show you numbers and you will be surprised that it's very low number that actually which programs become sustainable. You'll be surprised by the number. But those who become sustainable, they started planning, they started thinking about sustainability much earlier than actually the sustainability should happen, even years before. And this is what happened. So when we look back, so when you look sustainability, it doesn't mean that we need to put off it till later. Now, sustainability should already be part of our thinking here at the initiation, but especially here. When you start doing implementation, when you realize your organizational goals, you already start in parallel thinking how to sustain this change, right? So the contemporary thinking about this to keep it together. And this is a very important point today. All right, so sustainability is one of the most challenges faces, right? And especially is challenging when the support may discontinue. This has become challenging. When you have enough resources, when you have enough support, educational support, best practices support, you can manage implementation. But when this ends, it's become especially challenging, right? And this is so, for example, at some point, and I wanted to say at some point, organization will be at the crossroad, whether they keep sustaining what they're doing, and they can do it by building, by getting it built in as an ongoing part of what they're doing, or it may happen, it may disappear. Not any, and it's also, we need to keep it in mind that not any program sustains. Some programs will stop, whether they are, right? So that's why important we start thinking about the next stage, right? And there are many factors. There are many factors which makes program sustainability happen, which make it succeed. And there is a lot of literature. There is a lot of practitioners who share this, but I would focus from my perspective what I think the most important parts. So maybe we'll cover several most important factors, what makes program sustainability working. All right. So here I would like to highlight the relationship between the two stages. So good implementation. So now what you're doing today what you're doing in your implementation stage it directly correlates with the success, with your longevity of your program, right? It's a precursor to good continuation. So why? Because both in implementation and in the sustainability stage, you share about the same, you share the same needs coming from the community, right? You share the same. So the whole settings, the whole process is about the same. The only thing where we can make it work. So there is a lot of similarities between these two stages, right? And the importance of the implementation is you cannot overestimate it, right? If you make your implementation stage, if it becomes success, if it's a success story, and you can go and tell potential donors, you can tell potential community, it will be much easier to sustain the practice, right? So the practicality and effectiveness of the implementation stage, right? It just has direct effect on the success of sustainability. If you're successful in this stage, the prospects of sustaining is much higher. By doing great job, and this is what you're doing, you're increasing the chances to run this program. And even in the case of change of your main sponsor, in the case of change of some other external factors, you will sustain it because you have something behind this luggage. Also, if you create like the right organizational structure, something which would support the development, if right now you build the organization, you build the organizational culture, right? The people, the values that you instill in the implementation stage, if they make the organization effective, if community finds it and buys what you're doing and they see value in this, then you would move smoothly to the next stage, right? And also the number of people who would be involved. So some of you might think that you can postpone until later, but the best practices in this area saying that you now need to start designating people to this role, thinking about sustainability. Maybe it can be one person, maybe it can be like a project team. It's up to you, you will be deciding. But maybe you want to say that maybe 15% of your time now you need to spend on planning the sustainability. So maybe it's like a particular person, or maybe it's a project team, maybe it's cross-functional team, or maybe you want to run it like cross-office, Pan-African team, but there should be already a team in place which would start thinking about, and with team which will start planning. Planning is key. When you start planning how to make the program sustainable, it will be too late when like any external change happens and suddenly you have to run it on your own and you're fully responsible for everything. And if you don't have this is in place, it will be hard. That's why you need to start thinking. Planning is ahead of time. That's why there should be some things about this. The next one, so we talk about the relationship between implementation and sustainability, but it's similarly important, the relationship between the first stage, initiation, and sustainability. This relationship is also very, very important, and I would like to stress it out. And the reason for that, because here at the initiation stage, so the nature and purpose, the purpose is defined. And this is what governs. This is what, like the whole, what you're doing, right? This has been the envision in the beginning. So basically, this program sustainability depends on the whole purpose of your program. So what are you doing? How are you helping the community? It's very important that there is the need. There is something in the community which is unfilled, right? You would like to fulfill, and there is some to address, right? This is what the demands, something needs, there is an issue, there is a problem, and this problem should be important. If the problem is important, if community shares their thinking, yes, it's very important, then it defines. So we are not working on something which is like in the periphery of the community. We are working on something which is on the front lines of the community life. So the importance of the change is very important, and it's defined here. If it's well defined, if it's like you're on top, you're sitting on money, you're like it's on top of the mind of the people you're working with, then there is a future, then there are the prospects here. And also you're competing. So a couple of you mentioned right at the beginning, so Benta and Vita mentioned that that it's #1 priority, but the rest of you mentioned it's among top 3. Maybe for someone like the list is bigger, it meaning you are competing with priorities, but you're competing not only the priorities within your organization, you're also competing with other initiatives in your area. It's like the Black Swan stream cleanup initiative. It's not the only one that needs help, right? There would be other things that the city would be doing. Maybe you want to help with parks, maybe with local pools. So all these all competing demands, and maybe you want to help after school activities. All this, so it's important that what we are working on, it just in this competition is pretty competitive, and we can show that and demonstrate. Other things, and again, and this is the relationship to the very first stage, which has it'll always stay. The way how you can change, the strategy can change, but it cannot change too much. Some of the ideas will stay and preserve. So that's why it's important that what we do, right, our change, there is clarity, clear communication, what Yellow is doing, for example. So it's the community buys it, understands it, it's clear what we're doing. So it's very important, the communication is very clear. Second, people in the area, they should make sense of it. So like someone will think what Yellow is doing is really great, look at this. So someone makes sense. So it's not something like you're doing and you would have a doubt, but people create sense. So sense making is very important factor. It also depends on the complexity. So if it's too sophisticated, then it creates some unnecessary burden. So ideally, the idea would be like, it's a clear message and it's very clear what kind of benefit the program brings to the community, right? Also depends on the quality of the work we are doing, right? And also practicality. So it's useful. Someone would benefit from this, right? And this is the link to the previous sessions that we had 2 days ago. And I thought it's important would be also to share. And I like this, another definition of sustainability. So sustainability, when you can say that change, another name, innovation, loses its special project status. So, in the beginning, it's something special. So what Yellow is doing, it's a lot of like coverage in the area. It's a lot of people talk about this. They say this is something special. But when you get to program sustainability, it's not special. It's becoming part of our community life. It's something integral. I cannot imagine our community without having Yellow here. So it's not special anymore. It's part of what we are doing. It's part of our lives. And I like this, the way to look at sustainability. So we are moving from special into our routine, our daily routine lives, right? And when you look at this, you might think that to get embedded in an organization, and it should be legitimized. And to get it legitimized within the organization, there should be certain set of beliefs and values, right? That the organization has certain values that comes with our change, and this way, and I guess so change, and this is what Yellow is doing, inseparable. You cannot separate it from organizational culture and the values behind the culture. What kind of values we are bringing, right? So are we bringing some innovation to the community? Are we improving life standards of the community? Are we helping people to become independent, to decide on their own what they do with their lives, right? So what kind of values and here, when it goes back to the organizational culture, it's very important that the values of the program, the values of the whole change initiative, they are aligned with the values of implementers, people who joined the session today, people in your RLCs, people that the values, what you do with your personal values. If there is a match, we can think about long-term success. If you think a bit differently, if you think about different maybe values, you would like to focus on different things, then this is when tension's done, and then potential friction here. Another thing, and I touch upon this in the beginning, but personal experience. So here, some people, and especially people who've been working for a long time in NGO areas or with programs, right? And they saw that some programs, they start and end. And you may see it, right? So different programs, they have different purposes. Some programs are even designed to end in 3 or 5 years. So people who had a lot of experience seeing programs come and go. So when one program comes after another, they may get into this mindset that all programs are like, most of the programs are temporary, right? So YALI, we achieved this, we got this impact. But what I would like to draw attention is not all programs ends. There is certain percentage of programs which are very sustainable and run for decades. So the question to YALI, is it this kind of program? My understanding that what you're doing is really needed. It's needed for community today, it's needed for tomorrow, it's needed for years to go. So even if you were part of some programs which ended, it doesn't mean that YALI is part of this. So this mindset, right, if there is another one to build, that this is serious, this is permanent. What we are doing in YALI, it will stay for a long time. And otherwise, people who may think of it like from a temporary perspective, so they will not be as inspired. Some people may be cautious about changes. They may start looking for other things, what is next. That's why it's important to build the right mindset, to believe in the permanent nature, in the future prospect of it. So it's very important that what implementers believe in the importance and sustainability of the change, and they express clearly commit to this change. So committing to the change, this is like one of the first steps. I fully commit myself. I see myself running this, working on these years to come from here. All right. Then I would like to mention a few other, right? To mention a few other characteristics when it comes to program sustainability, right? But let me, before we move on, and I thought like it's because I'm looking now from another framework, another perspective. I wanted to check with you the things that I shared about the stages and the relationship between vision and sustainability, implementation sustainability, and also like organizational culture and personal experience. Does it resonate with you? Does it make sense? So I wanted to make sure that what I'm talking about is applicable to YALI. What do you think, guys?
Hi, Sinji. This is Caroline.
Mm-hmm. Yes, go ahead.
Yes. So for us here at the Accra RLC, I remember when I joined in 2016, the project has already started. And it was after I joined that we had a new project director. She was then tasked with the sustainability aspect of the training. So for us, it was not part of the vision, but it came during the implementation stage. So what you are teaching actually resonates with us. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Caroline. So, Rich, what do you think about that? Does it make sense overall what we just covered?
Yeah, Sergey, it really does. Just as Caroline said, I mean, initially the sustainability was the tax, for the director, but later on, along the line, then we realized that, it depends on all of us, although she's the one responsible for it when it comes to, drafting of, of it, we all have parts, to play. So this morning's session, is an eye opener for some of us. Thank you.
No, and it's all great points. Thank you, Caroline and Rich. That so the leadership team, like, it's very important. And that's why leaders, right? The main attribute is not only managing. So managing is like running daily operation, but leaders also go beyond. They should envision where organization is going. So some part of their day, of the times they spend, they need to think long term, right? But, right, as Rich said, it's not only about leaders. So the whole organization, all people working in Yale should have buy-in. And this is important. So even if leaders start the discussion, even if leaders they have some thoughts, it's important to get the whole organization engaged, right, in the process. So we have buy-in from everyone, right? And this is what makes it effective. Betty, please go ahead.
Yeah, in East Africa experience, I like the way you define sustainability around a project being no longer novel, but being part of us. So that is demonstrated through the alumni that we support, because when we onboard participants and then they finally become alumni, it's been critical for us to sustain the alumni network and to be able to use the same network to cascade the leadership training, because sustainability means that this keeps on going, but it also scales. And so we use the alumni to be able to sustain the gains we have made this far. So I think that was a very important definition of when it no longer is new, but it's part of us. And then how does it keep going? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Betty, for bringing this up. Isn't it wonderful, right? It's not novel anymore. It's not special. It's part of what is like. People think it is something like casual now, right? It's important part, what we're doing. Yeah. And do you have some people designated? And it's a question open to all of you. Do you have some people already designated to start thinking, right? How to plan, start planning what to do when we move on from implementation into more sustainability stage, you would like to keep it long term. Yeah, or maybe you have some teams working, some project teams, you have 2-3 people, or maybe across. So do you have anyone already working on this? And remember, I'm going back to what I mentioned in the beginning, that to make program sustainability happen, to make it succeed, you need to start thinking of it from the very beginning. At the initiation stage, you already need to have thoughts. What would happen if some external factors change and we would be without, for example, this sponsor, we would be maybe something different in the community. And also in the implementation, did some of the RLCs, or some of you personally, did you start like planning and thinking, putting thoughts into that? Harry, please.
We have 2 forums where this is being discussed. So the first one is the partnership working groups. But our focus is primarily around financial sustainability. But we've sort of had some form of a pivot as well, because we now have a new strategy in terms of being demand driven, meaning that not so much financial sustainability, but bringing resources that would support the implementation of the program. So which would be the key tenet to the overall sustainability strategy. And second to that, there's another forum, which is the steering committee. So that's made up of the 4 centers and USAID as well, which looks at it more so on the strategic level in terms of the vision and how the whole project can move forward. Now, what's interesting now is with the notice of funding opportunity that was recently released by USAID, which would basically consolidate that, because I think one major tenet that we haven't really had a strong focus on is in terms of ensuring operations continue. Because you made a very strong link between implementation and sustainability, ensuring that you have the right people in right position, and also that you're able to retain those people. Because we primarily project-based, so it's predominantly short-term contracts that you enter with people that work for Yali. So that doesn't really provide a lot of job security. So with the likelihood that you lose key people as you progress in the implementation of the program. So that's something that really needs to be interrogated on how best to manage to ensure that we retain people. So yeah, that's my contribution.
And this is a really great point, Harry, because so financial sustainability we'll briefly touch upon, and I will share a resource you can maybe review like at your convenience, like there is more information about this. But another one, people, right? So if people work on a project basis, and by the end of the project, some people and they need to know, right? Will there be another project at Yali for me, or should I look elsewhere for something, right? And then if it happens and these people go to another organization, then you leave key people. And this may affect your sustainability, right? How to retain key talent, people who know who can contribute to the success of Yali. So this is also something to keep, maybe to make these projects on a permanent basis so people can plan long-term. They know that after the end of this project, which took maybe 2 years, 3 years, there'll be another project starting right away. This way, when you can plan, you feel safe. You know that you have job stability, and this helps a lot, right? This is one of the, and this is something to keep, right? So the program sustainability is financed. It's also about the structure. It's about how to retain key talents in the organization. George, please go ahead.
Yes, I wanted to bring in the element of organizational sustainability. Yeah, and this is tied to capacity building because, of course, people change jobs. That's very normal. And of course, organizations try to keep, good people. So around organizational sustainability, because the nature of the projects will basically keep coming in, I think capacity building is an important intervention to ensure sustainability, given that we have at any point in time a critical mass of employees who understand, implementation of a particular nature of a project. Yeah, so under organizational sustainability, there is a bit, on capacity building that can ensure that there is that sustainability, and more so the formation of things like a project management unit, where of course you will ensure you have a critical mass. And here I'm talking about an institution like a university. Yeah, because you see, the primary goal of a university is to, to train. Yeah, so issues around organizational sustainability can really be things that they can do well, unlike a private firm or a consultancy firm, which is mostly around profit, as much as universities are looking at the bottom line. Yeah, but organizational sustainability is kind of well preserved in a university or an institution of higher learning. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, it's a very good point, George. And then, so my understanding that Yali centers, they are based at the university facilities, at least some of the centers, right?
Yes, they're in the universities, yes. Yeah,
so that's why it's also like as a part of the program sustainability to think about this partnership, right? How to, is it already, like how is designed, the whole partnership between Yali and the universities? Is it designed like long-term, or is again, it should be renewed on an annual basis and etc. So this is also part of it. So if we are on the basis of universities, or we are part of the universities, we might be, some of you might be even employed by universities, right? That's also part of the sustainability, how to make it to work. I see, Bettis, you have hand. Did you raise it second time, or it just remains from the first time? Betty?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, the first time. Sorry.
Just wanted to make sure. Yeah. George, please, I saw you raise your hand again. Please go ahead.
No, I just wanted to mention that the award we're implementing has that sustainability component, and it speaks to that organizational sustainability, you know, where capacity building is one of the major components to just ensure sustainability, you know, from program, organizational to financial. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, makes sense. Thank you, George. All right, let me move on. So I will bring a few other interesting factors into the picture, and then we'll have more time to share and reflect on this, right? So this is another. So prior to now, what I shared, like different findings on people who work and trying to understand what makes programs sustainable, successful in their continuation. And here is another framework. So this is designed by two scholars, but this became influential in the field of program routinization. And this, it says like 3 legs tool. So first we talk about project characteristics, right? So again, planning is key. It's very important that we have planning, and I'm glad that Harry shared. You have certain groups among partners, you have certain, like you have another forum to share this, right? So planning important, but we should not underestimate how important is planning and thinking long term, that we are ready if anything happens. We have. Then another one is also a program adaptable to local conditions. So if needs or anything changes, or like university have just implemented different policies, or if, for example, like certain norms and local like regulations or anything changes, program should be flexible. So we should not keep and be rigid, and no, we are not, but we should be open to changes, right? Another one is, it's important we monitor our performance indicators, right? And I'm sure, and I assume you do a great job here, because my experience with most of the programs, what they do is already part of the experience. So you have certain tools, you have certain KPIs, and by the end of a period, it can be done on annual basis, it can be done on like semi-annual or quarter basis. You would be reviewing the results, right? And this is a good practice to do. You would be reviewing how the program is doing, right? And how you're, and since it's project-based, how the project is doing, right? So you have certain milestone, and you need to make sure that you hit them in a due time. You deliver the results in a timely manner. Right. Then also when it comes to, when we move on to the recipient organization, it's important that both the management, and it's a good point that we made, so it's not only about the leadership team, but it's also staff. Everyone needs to commit, right? If we commit to the long-term success, we mean it, right? We make sense. We believe in the long-term prospects of what we're doing. And this helps a lot to sustain the program, right? That's why it's important to build this, to spend time within the entire office and build on the same page with everyone. Also, the level of education, that we have the right workforce, and based what you're saying, that you have talents who run the projects, who work on the projects, and you seem to be satisfied with their work. But it's important that we get people who are trained to what they're well trained to. Either you already get them already educated, or you train them with, you do some onboarding and you on the spot, but they should be fitting what they're doing, and also shared decision making. So in this case, some decisions, of course, they can be made by the top management, but it's important that the organization understands, right? So they share the decision, and it also, when it's possible, it can be participative leadership. So some inputs can be coming from all levels of organization when it especially comes to important decisions. So it's important for people to understand that their voices are heard. So at some stages it can be participate, it can be maybe delegative, some decisions can be delegated when it can done, and also transparent. It's always good. It reduces a lot of noise, unnecessary friction in the organization when people start thinking like it's not clear how the decision is made, why is it like this, or maybe it's not fair, etc. So when it's transparent, when the logic is explained, it just removed unnecessary distractions. That's why it's important that we keep this in check. And then also when we to the third stage, the third area, which is important for the program sustainability, this is community, right? So we'll look at the broader community, and it's important that we keep stakeholders, right? We keep stakeholders with us, right? So like key ideas, our plans, it's always good to remind, right? So no matter whether it's like local businesses or it's university, it's good to attend the meetings with them. It's good to remind that there is YELI here and the way it works. So we don't want to be annoying, right? We don't want to come and say, look, YELI is here and we're doing this. So people don't like it. But the way it works, we remind about ourselves. We meet with people, we share what we do. We do not try to post. And then when any potential project or any potential idea comes to your stakeholders, so it would be great if the first thing they would think like, oh, I have this, there is YELI, I would go to YELI, right? So what we would like to build, we would like to build awareness about YELI. So when there is some kind of opportunity, our potential stakeholders will start thinking, they will be prompted spontaneously to think about YELI. And to make it happen, right, we need to remind about ourselves. We need to, from time to time, to talk to them, to share what we do. And this way, our stakeholders will be always, they will be keeping in mind always, it will be sharing part of their mind when it comes to certain projects. Then also government agencies and universities. I'm glad we talk about universities. So like it's important to stay connected with local authorities. It's also like university, especially in YELI cases, this plays a big role. So it's like be part of this circle, right? So part of the community, not only to go like, to be swamped in our project work and then no one knows. Like it's always good to have this time blocked in your calendar to spend and share what you're doing and just to get integrated. Also diversity of funding. So my understanding now, a big portion of the running budget comes from USAID, right? But it's always good to start thinking diversifying your funding. Right? And there are different ways to do it, right? There would be local grants, there would be local government grants. Maybe some businesses would be happy to donate, and this is why your implementation stage is speaking for yourself, right? So if you're successful, if you have good results, if you have many alumni, you have a lot of endorsement from them, then it should be easier to find this. You have success story to come and say, be part of our success story, be with us, we'll be together with this, right? Another way would be to think about crowdsourcing. So it's a recently new phenomenon, but basically you create, there are several online platforms. So you create your account, you share what YELI is doing, and then you open it to any crowdsourcing. So people can donate maybe $5, $10, maybe it's not big amount, but it's usually hundreds and thousands of people, right? So this crowdsourcing became one of the mainstream financing sources for many NGOs. And this is potential also for YELI. This is like you don't rely on large donors, but when you diversify funding, you rely on hundreds and thousands of smaller donors. It can be your alumni, it can be your community. So I usually contribute to some of the local organization in my area, and I assume people would be doing the same. You just need to be educated in the way it works. And this crowdsourcing, it also like links you not only to local potential small donors, but it's open globally, right? So people around the world can be part of this. So this is something to explore, right? And also the social norms, trends, means it's good to be trendy. Also, if anything happens in the community, we should be part of it, right? We should be, if anything, you know, like some bad event happens, it's good that Yeli shows also voice, and we condemn certain things, or we support someone, right? So Yeli has a voice. And this is how you become a true part of the community. All right, going back, right? So good. All right, and just to, some sponsors, right? Right, I guess I was copy pasting. Right, so this one, what I meant to mention here, and this is the kind of a summary, and this comes from several studies, that when you look at many programs running, so many of them, not all of them, but many of the programs get implemented. So there is like certain percentage that in implemented, but only few of them reach the sustainability stage. The research shows why. And I thought it would be good to look at some practical examples. I thought we can look at some certain program, and it's a recent study. It just published in 2023, and this study was done in Sweden. And then this, so it's about, I guess, about 180 municipal organizations. They work with certain funds distributed into social services. So this can be done at a government level. It can be also done at a local funding sources. But there's certain grant which covers social services that local municipalities provide to its people, to its citizens, right? So like about 80% out of total number participated in the study. So meaning that from each local office, from each local center, from 1 to 3 people shared, they describe, right? And you would be surprised to see that actually when this program started about helping with social services, helping like local citizens, and so only 1 out of 8, 13% actually became routinized. Actually, only 1 out of 8 keeps doing that. So 7 out of 8, they work on the program and they stop. And they try to understand in Sweden, how come? Why is it only 13% of all the municipal organizations that actually sustain? They managed to keep it on their own, right? There was some little support, ongoing support, right? But the most of all, they internalize and started doing on their own. And then the key factor, they said the key factor, which can be found common to all these offices, what they call this open project strategy, which is based on 3 openness, right? So they were openness to change, right? So they were ready. They had, for example, so they were ready to redirect. They were redirect to and go full scale on this initiative, because there are many initiatives going on in that organization, many initiatives going on the community, but they were ready to take it full time, like devote their attention, devote their resources, energy, and efforts into this, right? So, and there was an early acceptance of this change, right, of the culture. So the teams were ready. They were open to this change. They were open to this program, and they started full screen. Also, they were doing planning, and this is what I mentioned at the very beginning. To succeed, you start to be ready for your next stage. So your stage 3, you need to start planning already at the initiation, especially implementation phase. And this is something to keep in mind. And also openness to adaptation, right? If any changes were happening, right? Changing DORA, changing the scope of the program, these teams were flexible, right? They were on the spot. The decisions were made in a timely manner, and the teams. There were a few other factors which influence the Swedish example, right? So the management the management, and the whole organization were committed. These people believed in the success. It's not just one of the initiatives. They didn't treat it as a initiatives, but the initiative, the program. They believed in this and they truly supported. They already from the beginning, they thought it's a long-term running. So this commitment was one of the key factors by committing yourself, right? So, and also making it meaningful, meaning that people, and this is what I referred, like another term that some other scholars mentioned, it's sense making. So like all involved stakeholders, it can be employees of YELI, or stakeholders, the recipient, the user, the customers, the people who graduate, they believe in the meaning, what it brings. They make sense of what is going on, and they believe this is important, right, for them. Also, user participation. In this case, the recipients of the help. I guess in the YELI case, the people who are trained, who are educated, who are helped with your program. So the user participation was also very engaging. So these people, the customers in business case, but here it's called users. The users, they benefited and they participated. That all they were ready to promote, to sustain. So they had good experience. So they were more engaged compared to users from other fields. That's why it's so important that, and I really like what Betty mentioned, that you build your alumni database. It's important to stay in touch, to build on this, because they are your biggest promoters, right? Your alumni, people who graduated, it's a word of mouth. This is how you build your network. They would be helping expanding you further, and they are future donors. Many of these people, they will be growing in their careers. They will be leaders in the organization. They will help. And finally, also resources. So resources, and this is how we started our discussion. And financial resources, you need to make the flow to guarantee the flow of cash. You need to guarantee all this, but also other resources, right? So people, time resources, people need to have time to work on certain initiatives, certain projects, for example. You also need to have the right people. You need to have human resources. You have people, staff, and people who are capable. So the capacity of running these projects is important. So does it, and I thought, does it strike you, that is it surprising for you, the numbers that they found in Sweden, that only 1 out of 8 programs that they ran make it to the sustainability stage? Is it something I'm just curious, is it something you expected, or this number is something like, oh wow, it's interesting. I thought it would be. What do you think, guys? Beatrice, just if you don't mind, I would ask you, do you find this study in Sweden, do you find it's relevant to YELI? So I see, Jasper, thank you for jumping to the discussion. Please go ahead.
Thank you very much. I think this discussion we are having is very interesting, and the data that you have shown through the slide that you have just presented is very revealing, to the extent that sustainability is key. But the issue is that a lot of organizations, maybe including YELI, we may not have thought about sustainability the way that you are actually guiding us to understand sustainability. Somewhere last week, I just sat down and I was asking myself, a lot of NGO activities happen somewhere in the northern Ghana, but you see that place, there's this kind of endemic situation of poverty. But all these years that these interventions have been happening, why is that poverty numbers are not going down the way that these interventions are happening. So I was just comparing that thing with Yali and asking myself that, okay, now we are training all these people and then we are expecting them to generate some sort of impact in their organization. That actually will promote our, how do you call it, impact scale in terms of the contributions that we have made into the life of these people, which is supposed to be evident in the works and then the successes that they are chalking in their leadership space, either be in entrepreneurship or public management or civic leadership. Are we really making that impact that to make this organization called Yali very sustainable in terms of driving the change that we want to see, and then will also make people want to commit one more funding to this project so that we can impact a lot of life. Because today, when you look at the youth distribution in Africa now, the continent has a lot of young people. And if this project fail to achieve and impact the life of these people, then that means that this continent will be thrown deeper into a lot of problems going forward in terms of providing for even the basic necessity of life on the continent. And we may actually gravitate towards all the issues that we happen to face the continent before these programs started rolling up in on the Africa continent. That is my contribution. I just want to make. Thank you.
Oh, this is amazing. Thank you, Jasper, for sharing, right? And it seems that the need of that you're trying to address, right, with your RLC, looking at the poverty and looking at the like how to get youth engaged, right? And it's a big part of the population, and what the future is unfolds for the youth, right, is important. And I think that you're on the spot, you're right in the place, and also growing the entrepreneurs who would be increasing the living standards for the community, or working with the public management. This is, I think it's this is good thoughts that I see a lot of prospects in what you're sharing. Is there anyone else who would like to add to the Swedish experience, and maybe also how it can be relevant, right, to us, this like openness strategy, being openness to change, and also the commitment of management, and also looking at all the factors, and it's like the numbers that this is what makes it successful, right? And Karen, if you don't mind to share your thoughts on this.
Karen exited. I think she's attending 2 meetings.
Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, it's true. I saw it. Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
I am here.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. In actual fact, I'm attending both at the same time. Yeah.
I'm glad you're devoting bigger part of your attention to our meeting.
No, in actual fact, I do think that the sustainability aspect that Jasper has highlighted is very much important, and therefore the alumni sustainability also becomes important, but it is obviously linked to the financial sustainability. Coming back to the one in 8 that is successful. With us, and specifically from an M&E perspective, if you look at the indicators and the responses, obviously we have a pre-survey before they attend the program, then a post-survey, and then we have to follow up somewhere in the future, an ex-post survey. But what is interesting is that although not everybody, and I'm speaking now from an RLCSA perspective, not everybody moves into a project and starts implementing or scale their existing projects or employ people. you do find that soft skills, for instance, are improved. And specifically, if you compare, females to males, you would find that males are a little bit more assertive and aggressive in terms of starting businesses, whereas with the females, the responses are more that, no, I haven't done that, but I have learned to articulate, I have learned to present, I have learned how to engage from an advocacy perspective, which means that the success rate in that regard might not be evident immediately. It might be evident further down the line. But the fact of the matter is that it did make a difference. And I think that is what we should also support them from a sustainability perspective.
Yeah, it's a great point. Thank you, Karen. Right. I really like what you said, that you work hard and sometimes, and I don't know, maybe you meant like, but sometimes you may not see the results. And it's important not to get frustrated. They will come. The effect of your work will appear maybe in a year, maybe it will appear in 2, but it will be there. Yes, we need to keep doing what we are doing. And this is also part of this, contributes to sustainability. And then it will get easier. Just we need to go over this, and then we'll see the results and they will speak for themselves. It's a good point. All right. So let me share some so basically planning is key, as I mentioned. So developing planning is also good because it helps with sustainability, but it also makes the life of each and every of you easier, right? Because planning gives you a bigger picture. You know what to expect. We all want to have some certain kind of stability in our lives, but having this planning over time just makes it easier for ourselves, for our personal well-being, psychological well-being, for our families and for our colleagues as well. And also, you know what you will be doing like next year, next month, and what kind of projects the leadership team has in mind, what will be, etc. So this is cool. And also I wanted to share a kind of resource. This resource, you can click here and the slides, and you can go. This is like the resource and about social marketing, etc. But this part is I think it helps a lot with planning. Is devoted for planning for sustainability. So I didn't want to repeat the information, and I think it covers a lot what can be helpful with planning. So let me just to share quickly the website, right? So this is the website, and when you go to this planning, you can find many ways and the best practices. So the authors who pull together, and I find it very useful, they pull together like the ways to plan for the long term, and you can find from financial perspectives, you can find from secure financial support, you can look from organizational perspective, you can look from other resources types. It's all this interesting stuff. So you're welcome to explore. I'm sorry, I thought I'm sharing, but I didn't. So you're welcome to explore and go and explore it when you have time. Now going back to my presentation. So also to try to summarize the key components and what we discuss and what might be useful for you. So planning is something what we talk about, right? So also sustainability should be routinized, right? So this is the way. So when you move from the special, from the novel stage, you move into the next one, right? So you're moving into it becomes a view of customized to your normal activity. Another aspect we didn't talk much, but is also equally important, and this is the key components of program sustainability, is to always keep in mind what benefits our program brings, what benefits it brings to the community, right? So this is what makes it sustainable. If you see someone is just benefiting from what you're doing, and this is one of the key aspects of what makes it sustainable. So it's always good to think from the point what we are doing, what we bring to the community. It's always when we interact with the community, it's always good to remind, and it's good to check about the next needs, right? So we can always adapt what we are doing with the needs of the community. And finally, like one thing that I would like to highlight, and I think it's one of the most important ones, it should be continued development. So sometimes what we can get into this trap that we think about sustainability, we just we are replicating the implementation stage. We're just scaling up what we were doing in implementation. But this is not what sustainability is about. So when we think about sustainability, it's about, sustainability, it's like self-sustaining organism, and each self-sustaining organism, it develops. It cannot just get stuck in repeating what has been done before. So sustainability is also becoming, to make it a lasting part of the community, we need to develop. It's okay to start thinking about new programs. It's okay to start thinking. So the point here, that when we think about sustainability, don't try just to keep doing what implementation. It's okay to start being more creative, be more innovative. We can go beyond what has been done before, and then develop in our thinking. So we have now about 15-20 minutes left. What I was thinking, I was going to maybe try to make some breakout rooms, and maybe you would like to discuss the whole idea of the sustainability, maybe in the smaller groups, maybe like 4 people per group. And maybe after 10 minutes, we can get together and maybe we can share some insights on what your thoughts. I can make breakouts rules. We have 15 people, right? I can make breakouts rule automatically, or if you think you would like to structure it differently, maybe per center, or maybe you would like to do it by project, let me know. I can like make 1 person per group and you can join the rest. And the idea to discuss would be just to look where we are today in our centers, right? Where we are today, what kind of concerns, and you already shared of them, but not everyone spoke. It would be great if you can hear from the rest of the team, what kind of concerns you have in terms of sustainability, right? Maybe, and also to think what we can be done, right? How can we address in this office? Or maybe we want to make it like, like combine YELI approach across all the centers in this case. How would you like to structure it? Do you have a preference, guys? I would like to make 4 breakout rooms. Harry, please.
I think mix the centers so that we have a YELI Africa perspective.
YELI Africa perspective. Yeah, let's do it cross center perspective. Padmore, I saw unmuted yourself, but if you don't want, you don't have to. Good. So I will do groups automatically. So please join for 10 minutes. Just share your thoughts, share your concerns and the way forward. And let's get together and just maybe we'll try to see what we discuss in smaller groups to share and see how the way to move forward. So let me create the breakout rooms. Yeah. All right, so now you will get your groups. Please join. So in 10 minutes, I will call you to you.
Because we talked about we talked about your mentioning of in order to have sustainability, we need to make the change. We cannot stay constant, which is a great reminder. And on the other hand, it's also very challenging working under the USA bureaucracy. The implementing partners have a set of required deliverables and performance measures that they need to adhere to. And so because of that, a lot of times they're focused on what they need to deliver, right? Instead of stepping back and let's think about what we've learned and apply that to new way of doing things, to do something different, because contractually or whatever the agreement that was signed probably may not allow that. And in fact, it's not something that, it's just not a standard practice where we kind of constantly work in more of the private sector mentality, if you will. And so you have mentioned, which we thought was really good when you came to our room, is that maybe it's as simple as creating a platform and a space for these types of discussion. And so at least these things happen. And so once you left, we were talking about an example of our current working groups, where we have different working groups within, that's kind of broken down within different regional leadership centers. We have recruitment, alumni, etc. And so these working groups meet regularly, and on a monthly basis or on a regular basis, we have something called the steering committee, where the lead of the working group is supposed to report out what their findings are and stuff. So this would be the platform, and it's an opportunity to use that as a platform to actually, instead of giving updates, which is what we have been doing a lot, people tend to get stagnant. You hear updates, you kind of tune off because it's not really relevant to you. But instead, we think the next level and come to the table with, well, these are the things that are not working, and this is what I need you, Mr. XYZ or Miss Working Group, to work, and really come up with a tangible next step with people accountable, so that we can continue to move forward. So that was what we talked about.
Oh, and it's a great idea, and I love it that it's very practical, right? It's like we see how we can to move on with this and how to start the discussion. Thank you so much, Katie, for that.
Thank you.
And I guess my time is coming up. I need to wrap up. So thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for having this engaging conversation. I really appreciate all the contribution you made, and Karen and Georgie and Betty and Katie, and also Harry also bringing his perspective, and everyone, each and every of you for this. So I hope the sessions that we had on the organizational culture and on program sustainability find it useful. You're always welcome to reach out to me. I will be happy to help with anything. And at this moment, I would like to end my part, and thank you and have a good day. And I give the floor to Liz and the team. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Dmitriev. Super engaging session today. We really appreciate you being with us.
Thank you.
And take good care.
Thank you.
Very good. And welcome back, Dr. Karam.
Thank you so much. Hello, everyone. It is great to see you again. I suspect that we are all ready for a break. So why don't we do that as we prepare for our next session on Teams. I hope that you'll find that the session that we're moving into actually is one that helps build on, solidify, reinforce, and gives you some time for these ideas that are percolating to kind of be put into a plan in the next session. So we're going to have several breakout rooms with kind of a different focus than we've done in my first two sessions with you. But let's take a break and come back at 10 after the hour. That should be a nice 10-minute break, stretch, get something to eat, whatever you need to do, and we'll start at 10 after the hour. Thank you so much. We'll see you soon. And Amy and Charlie, I sent you a little message about the breakout rooms in the chat. If we could do that, that'd be great.
Yeah, will do.
Thanks, Charlie.
Very good.
Okay, it's 10 after the hour. Welcome back. I hope that you are joining us, that you've had an opportunity to stretch and grab something to eat or drink. This next session is on building and sustaining healthy teams, which I know is a topic that many of you are very familiar with, and that I know that the teams in your organizations perform at a very high level as it is. And so rather than kind of go through some of the literature and some of the guidance, which I think might be duplicating knowledge that you already have, I find when I go through these kinds of workshops and schedules that I leave with lots of ideas for how I would like to make changes within my department or within my organization. But then I go back to my regular work, and finding the time to set aside to actually develop that plan or strategy can be very time consuming. So given where we are in the program, what I'd like to do in our time today is go through a series of guided breakout rooms, which I think Charlie and Amy have set up for us based on your geographic locations, where we will challenge you to consider what opportunities exist for your teams to perform at a higher level, and how can you develop a strategy to implement that going forward. So I'm going to try to share my screen. Hopefully I can, Charlie or Amy, can you set up screen sharing for me? And then we'll get started.
Yep, you should have it now.
You got it. Okay, great, thanks. Oh, I don't think I have it quite yet. Oh, no, got it, okay. Okay, so the challenge then for today, if I were to articulate it in a statement, would be for you to identify an opportunity for your existing teams to perform better. Or I guess I'll add to that, if you have the idea that you would like to create a new team, to develop, identify an opportunity for a new team to tackle a challenge, develop a new program, implement changes that you think are really important for you going forward. And then the purpose of our time will be to actually develop that plan for your team, so that when you leave, some of the homework for doing this is tackled for you. So we're going to describe opportunities for your current or future teams, develop a goal or charge for those teams as collaborative partners, consider and really try to hone in on what might be potential challenges, and then again, focus on developing the team. So we're going to do this through a series of 3 breakout rooms, and I've allotted 10 to 15 minutes for each breakout room, because I think that this can be a really valuable time for you to work in groups. I think one of the things that I was so impressed with when I met with the delegation in Harrisonburg was truly the in-depth knowledge related to internal aspects of organizational functioning. And I remember at dinner one night having conversations where the kind of the consensus was, if only we had more time, right? If only we really had the time to discuss and to develop plans, but we're often caught up in the day-to-day operations. And so this is the time that I'm hoping to kind of gift you in thinking about and developing plans for going forward. So the first breakout room that I'm going to ask that we join has this purpose. I would like you to describe a team. It could be a current team, or it could be a team that you would like to create, and a goal that you have for that team. So this is kind of in Covey's, Stephen Covey's work, right? Begin with the end in mind. So what is it that you are trying to accomplish with a team, but for perhaps are running into obstacles, or what challenge do you have and you don't have the right set of people yet formed together in a team to really tackle that. Try to consider what that team is, what it might look like, and what the goal is that you would like that team to accomplish. If you're struggling with that, you could consider some of the coaching questions that we discussed on Monday. So you could ask each other what's on your mind and what else. Really try to hone in on not the first problem, not the first challenge, the first opportunity, but really something significant that you would like to tackle in the next 6 months to a year at your location. Maybe you have had an idea that's been percolating as a result of some of these Zoom sessions, either from May or from June. Maybe you're currently confronting a challenge, and whatever system is in place, whatever team is working on it, needs to be reviewed, revised. Maybe there's a new person that needs to be added. Maybe you need additional resources in some way. I don't want to bound this. I really want to leave this up to you and your intimate knowledge of your opportunities and challenges, and give you some space to do this. So the first charge for the initial breakout room, again, is to describe a team that you would like to address a challenge or an opportunity, and clearly articulate a goal for that team that could be accomplished in the next 6 to 12 months. After we spend 15 minutes in the breakout rooms doing that, and I'll join the breakout groups as we are situated in them, we will come back to share some of those ideas collectively, and then we'll move into the next breakout room. So are there any questions before we move to breakout rooms? Okay, great. I don't see any hands raised, and I don't see anything in the chat. So Charlie or Amy, would you mind sending, setting up the rooms? Awesome. Charlie, you're on it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. And I will look forward to joining you in your breakout rooms.
And Liz, I'm looking at the link that you sent. Oops.
She went to join.
Yep, she went. Yeah, she sent a link, and I'm not sure what she wants me to do with it. Did she want people in the same RLCs together?
Yeah, are they not fully? Because I was trying to find, I was basing this off of my old list that I had, but some of the people aren't the same.
I think Christian is in Dakar, right? And Cootie's in Dakar. And then, yeah, Harry, Lloyd, and Toes, they're all in South Africa. I may be wrong about Christian.
Yeah, sorry, I'm looking at the list too. Yeah, that's the show. Pull up the show.
And so Karen Haycock is in South Africa. She's currently in room 3.
And which one should she be in?
In room 1.
Okay.
Let me look. Chuck and Christian, where he is.
Yeah, Christian is in Dakar.
So that's going to leave the Ghana group pretty small, but
Yeah,
If Yali Rich comes back. And David. It is tough with new people coming in and out.
There's not a lot of people joining.
Amy,
Yes.
I was in group 3 and we were busy discussing, and all of a sudden I was changed to group 1.
Yes, and that is because we were trying to break up the groups by RLC.
Yeah, well, yes, can't I go back to group 3?
You'd like
Because
to go
you-
back to group 3? Yes, that's fine. I can.
In actual fact, I mean, I was in a group, the only person from SA with 3 people from East Africa.
Right. Right. And we had put you in that group by accident.
No. I mean, if you wanted to do it by RLC, then there were 3 people from East Africa, and I was from South Africa. So if you wanted to break up the groups in terms of, to mix it, I was the one that should have been staying, and one of the others was supposed to leave. Because
No,
there
and
were
the goal
3
was-
East Africas.
Sure. The goal was actually to have people in groups by their RLC, not mixed RLCs.
Oh, okay.
And
All
the
right.
reason
So that
the
is why
reason
I
that-
was moved.
Right. And we have Senegal and South Africa together, just because there are only 2 people from Senegal, the Dakar
Okay,
office.
great stuff. All right. No, great stuff. Thanks so much.
Sure. And Karen, do you need assistance moving back to a group?
Yes, it would be great. I was trying to get back now to group 1. If you can take me to group 1, it would be good. Thanks.
Charlie, are you moving here?
Yeah, I'm trying to, because it has it right now assigned as group 1. Let me switch you back. It's not letting me do that.
And we're having a moment of technical difficulty.
Yeah, Karen, I'm going to send you to one room and then I'm going to send you back to group 1. So I'm going to send you to 2 different rooms, but I think that's the only way I can do it right now. So do that. There we go. I think that should be correct.
All right. And Harry, you're back?
Yeah, I've been pulled into the main session. What's going on?
Don't know.
I don't know. Let's see.
Oh, I'll go back to my group. It's fine.
Okay, sounds
I
good.
thought maybe you wanted to tell me something.
No, you're good. There
We
you
were
go.
just
Hold
moving
on.
Karen back in there and something may have gotten clicked. And let's see, Rich, Padmore, and Jasper, are you all here? Do you need help getting into a group? Or David?
Okay, welcome back. Welcome back. For those of you that have joined us, I think we still have a few who are in one of the breakout rooms. Is that right? Or we've lost some on the call?
There's a few still in breakout rooms in
That's
room
what I
one.
thought. Okay, let's wait a
Yeah.
minute until all are back. Thanks, Charlie.
Yep.
And Liz, I wanted to check with you, the link you sent me, is that something you'd like to bring up?
I was trying to paste. I don't know how to chat two people simultaneously. So if I'm trying to chat you and Charlie, I try to send you the same one, but for some reason that was my most recent paste. And so
Okay, all right.
sorry about that.
No problem. No
Glad
problem.
it wasn't a password or something. Okay, I think we are all back. Is that right, Charlie?
Yes, we are all back.
Okay, great. So welcome back. I had the opportunity to be a part of Breakout Room 2, and I actually stayed there the whole time. So I'm sorry I did not have a chance to pop into Breakout Rooms 3 and 4, but I am very curious how your discussion went and what you came up with in terms of what types of teams and what types of goals you may have going forward in the next 6 to 12 months. So who would like to share from Breakout Room 3 to summarize your conversation? Beatrice, great, thank you.
All right. Thank you for this opportunity. So basically, in room 3, we decided to focus on alumni relations. And so basically the goal that we came up with was to establish an alumni platform. And why we want to establish this platform is to provide opportunities for networking among alumni, also present them with opportunities for capacity development, strengthen alumni chapters and initiatives, as we also give them an opportunity to increase their visibility, and also provide avenues to foster sector-specific collaborations and cross-learning. And so in terms of describing the team, we said that this would be supported by the YALI teams internally, but also just leveraging the opportunities available in the universities, just checking who else from the university or what else is there that can support this process. And then we also went ahead and also talked about the team execution. And we said that for starters, we would need to start with the needs assessment exercise. And so basically to just engage various stakeholders, including alumni, members of staff, and also looping in industry experts so that they can also have their opinion about this platform. And then we said, while we are doing this, we also need to be cognizant of the coaching approach, whereby we will be asking them the hows so that we get as much information as we can. And that will help us even in evaluating where we are from time to time. So basically, that's the conversation that we are having in room 3.
That's fantastic. It sounds like that could be a very valuable new platform for your alumni. And I appreciate that you articulated many different stakeholders who could be involved in that, utilizing existing resources, plus partnering with your university colleagues potentially, and taking advantage of really doing a deep dive into what the needs are of your participants as well as you develop that platform. Does anything exist? Are there any, is there anything in process, or would this be something new that you're creating?
The new aspect of it will be bringing together all the centers to pretty much have a meeting point of the same, and just providing a platform where alumni across all the 4 regional leadership centers are able to converge and network and do all that I mentioned before. Currently, we have some centers that already have existing alumni platforms.
That's great. And so this new platform would bring together all 4 centers. That's fantastic. Thank you for that. Is there anyone from Breakout Room 3 that wanted to add something to those comments? Okay, great. What about Breakout Room 4? Who would like to represent your comments? Kudi, yeah.
Yeah, we had the same discussion about alumni platform, but the way we took the discussion was we went from we started with the alumni working group that currently exists, and we defined a goal as a mechanism where alumni are able to connect and collaborate with each other. And an end goal where we say that alumni, to be more effective into collaborating, would be to see them partnering, collaborating around their own initiatives, networking, scale those initiatives, and be more impactful. So the idea about how to, let's say, what kind of team that we need. We already have this alumni working group team that bring together all the alumni, let's say, people who represent alumni units in the different ROCs. But we were thinking about including alumni chapters representative so that they can, say exactly what they need, what they want, and be part of, effectively part of the process. Yes. So we don't really have something to add because that was the same discussions, and Beatrice and I are in the same group. So for alumni working group, so the same ideas came back.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it sounds like it is an area, though, that is top of mind for many of you and could add value, significant value to the alumni from your programs. When I joined the first session, when I popped in just at the end, I think that actually, Katie, is she on now? I don't know if I see her, but one of the things that she was talking about, at least I just heard this final comment, was something around the effect of taking advantage of the working groups, but changing their report out to include tangible next steps and people being accountable for certain outcomes. And I thought that's something that we could really grab onto in our session as well, because it sounds like these working groups exist, but perhaps maybe with a new or revised focus, they could even contribute in a greater way to alumni or others within YALI. So that's great. Let's see, Carolyn, do you want to share the discussion from our group? Breakout room 2?
Yes, Elizabeth. Yes, so we were looking at the size of our team here at the RLC, and I mentioned that we're a group of 13 headed by the director, and that at the moment we don't have a recruitment manager, we don't have a monitoring evaluation manager, we don't have a partnership manager. But what is happening is that for recruitment, we have a team of 5 people working on recruitment drawn from the various units, which is headed by the curriculum and content manager, and we also support him. So what is happening is that we are playing dual roles at the same time that we have to carry on with our tasks as participant affairs manager, as curriculum and content manager. And the way that is actually impacting our other activities, that if we had the opportunity to have somebody recruited to be the recruitment manager, we can do our jobs better than we are currently doing. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you.
Yes, thank you for sharing that. Carolyn and I and Christian within our group, and David joined later as well, talked about some of the challenges of not being fully staffed and how that limits our capacity to really take on work if we're already absorbing work from open positions. But one of the things that I think, Carolyn, that you spoke about, which I think was quite interesting, was if you had the time, you really would welcome the opportunity to develop post-training activities and mentorship training for alumni as well. And so I'm hearing from all of the groups an area of focus related to alumni. And so I think that there is kind of there's a consistent discussion about how we can serve needs of alumni or connect alumni. How do we encourage alumni to collaborate together? And so I see that as something that is recurring in our conversations, and something then that maybe would be helpful for the next breakout room conversation as well. So the next breakout room, now that we have in each place kind of identified a team and a goal, I'd like you to consider what might be current or potential challenges to the implementation and execution of this team. So is it a team composition issue? Are there people that should be added to the team, removed from the team? Are there processes in place that need to be addressed? Are there resources that need to be acquired? Really, what is it that will make this team be a healthy, high-performing team? And I'd like you to be as specific as possible as you identify either challenges or resources or any kind of process issues that might be necessary. You might consider things like communication mechanisms. You might consider how you would define roles and responsibilities. how the team will make decisions, how you will provide incentives to the team if that's something that would be needed, how you would handle conflict, what are the norms, standards, and expectations of team members. Other things beyond the scope of what I just said are fair game as well, but the next breakout room, I'd like you to identify challenges and then ways in which you will set up the team for success to address some of these challenges. So we'll return to the same breakout groups focused on the team that you identified and the goal that you have in mind, and really think about building the structure for that team to perform at a high level. So Charlie or Amy, if you don't mind sending sending all of us to our breakout rooms again, that would be great. And again,
Yep.
I'll pop around to breakout rooms as well. Thank you.
Yep, they're all open now, so everyone should be able to go now.
Okay, thanks, Charlie. I appreciate that. Charlie, where are you located? Are you in Harrisonburg?
Yeah, I'm in Harrisonburg. I'm actually in the office right now.
Oh, you are? Okay.
Yep, that's Sister. Yeah.
Amy, you're probably still in Maine. Yeah.
Still in Maine.
Yeah.
Yes, I drove up here, so I need to wait till this weekend to have enough time to get back.
Yes. Yes. How far is it?
It took about 11 and a half hours
Oh,
to get up here, and we stopped in New Jersey on the way, so did that in 2 days.
okay. Good. Okay, well, I'm going to pop in some of the breakout rooms.
All right, sounds
See how
good.
things are going, and we'll return maybe around just before 11.
Do you want us to watch the time and bring people back at that moment, or do you want to come back and bring people in?
Sure. If you want to watch the time, what would we, maybe, I don't know, 10:58 or so. I don't know what the time was when we.
10:58, we'll bring people back.
Okay, yeah.
All right, sounds good.
Thank you.
Charlie, I just set my timer. If that would be
Yeah, that sounds good.
okay. All right, now it looks like Katie is just back.
Connecting the audio.
She's already is she in a room?
No, she's not.
Okay, could ask her where she wants to go.
Yeah.
Looks like room 2 might need some more people right now. Oh, no, there are 3 in room 2 and 3. She's off. She must have a bad connection right now.
Yeah. So.
She's living in Uruguay.
Oh wow. That's really nice.
Yeah, she's doing remote work for USAID.
Nice. Looks like she's trying to get back in.
Oh, she's back. Katie, you're back. You made it.
I know, I'm so sorry. I had to go to a meeting and it just finished and I'm back.
No problem. It's just your audio was connecting for a long time, so it looked like it was having trouble.
I know, the Uruguay internet.
Yes. Which room would you like to go to?
You can randomly put me anywhere.
Okay. Charlie, you can do that?
Yeah, we'll do.
Okay. And Charlie, Essie is on leave now. She sent me that message. And I forgot to mention it to you.
Okay.
That's why she isn't going to be with us here at the end.
Okay, that's fine. Sounds good.
Is Carolyn in the office there today?
I think so. I think I heard her voice. I haven't gone downstairs yet.
Okay.
Yeah. Why?
Well, I need to check in with her again to make sure that we have gotten a wire to the hotel in Nairobi.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think she is in today.
Okay. So it's nice to confirm that you do have lodging.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is it still raining there?
Looking outside. I think it stopped, but it's just been like so cloudy today and like the past couple of days that like it's just on and off the whole time.
Okay, hopefully we're getting some accumulation.
Yeah, I hope so.
We're so down with our rain.
Mhm. The rivers were super low last weekend.
Mm.
Me and my fiance, we like to like just jump in the river, do like river jumping.
Uh-huh.
It was just so low the other day that like because it gets so low and it's like so still that there's a bunch of snakes in the water and it's just it's not great.
No.
But once if it starts running and flowing, usually the snakes go away. But
Yeah, water snakes are not snakes you want to mess with.
yeah, so they're just hard to spot too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we go to Massanutten a lot to go mountain biking.
Oh yeah.
And my dog.
Okay, I think we are all back from the breakout rooms, so welcome back again. I had the opportunity to join several of the rooms. I think there were some interesting discussions happening regarding team composition and responsibilities and what you might see as potential challenges for the teams that you'd like to create or develop or kind of launch related to establishing alumni platforms or other types of activities. And so I'd like to again have a representative from each of the rooms. And the point of sharing from the breakout rooms is to really capture some of the collective conversations and knowledge and maybe some ideas that we miss by just being in a smaller group. So who would like to share from breakout room 2? And that was Carolyn, Christian, David, Katie, and Rich. Carolyn, I think you're off. You're Katie.
Oh, yes, I was off camera and I'm sorry, off speaker. I don't mean to because we talked about Caroline's going to speak. I think I kind of talked too much. I'm going to defer to Caroline.
Yes, Elizabeth, thank you, Katie. In our group, we were still looking at how we can resource the alumni chapters and the alumni themselves to improve their businesses and carry out with the community service projects that they are doing. And the example I cited was the fact that the Accra RLC started two matching grants, which one is the alumni chapter matching grant and the community engagement grant that goes specifically to alumni and their community service activities they are currently undertaking. And we have successfully done the first call, but the lessons learned was that some way, somehow, our communication mechanism did not really go well with the first call, in the sense that we didn't really get the numbers that we were expecting to get. And even those that assessed the grant, those that applied for the grant, their proposal was not solid enough, so we couldn't even get the 40 that we were expecting to award, so we ended up awarding 20. So going forward, we actually did an orientation session for all the alumni as to how they should go about writing their proposals in order to actually win the grant when it is opened again. So we are hoping that we are going to get solid proposals this time and then award more alumni. And also, as part of our incentives, we actually recognize alumni that are doing exceedingly well, and also the chapters that are doing very well during our alumni homecoming activities at the end of each year. And Katie also came into, and when she asked me what are some of the challenges and what we can do to help the alumni, I said, number one, they need capacity building. And she mentioned that she and Thomas, they have identified a partner that gives soft skills training, and these partners are also linked to big companies. So they are going to talk to the various alumni and partnership working group and see if they can bring such a partner on board. Yes, this is what we talked about. Thank you.
I'm thrilled that you and Katie made that connection and that there is a partner that you can bring on board to help in that particular area. So thank you for sharing that. Katie, is that information, or is that a person or organization that could also be shared with other locations?
Oh yeah, we're in the preliminary. Well, actually, it's not even preliminary. So Dr. George, do you know this? This is shortlist.net. So they are a tech-based online recruiting firm. They have been, in fact, the CEO has toured East Africa RLC. They've had, I think, a podcast there. So what they provide is soft skills training. They're funded by the Dutch government and also the large corporations who wants to employ youths. And so what we've seen with a lot of our programs is that, or even the leadership program, is that these wonderful youth, they go to the 1 month training, 3 month training, and then boom, they're done. Then they get the grant, and knowing, well, no, okay, that's a different conversation actually. Now, when they're done with the training, so they are not necessarily, they don't necessarily have the right information or know how to apply for the job. And that would be the soft skills, that would be interviews, interview skills, resume building, writing, and etc. Nor would they know which company is looking for whom. So that's where Shortlist could be a good bridge. It could be a good partner for us to engage with. So we are exploring that.
Fantastic. That's great. I'm really glad that you shared that. And I hope, Carolyn, that again, that fills the need that you have as well. Let's transition to room 3. I was in that room briefly, just eavesdropping. There was so much conversation. I didn't interject. I didn't want to interrupt the conversation. So would someone from breakout room 3 like to share your conversations?
All right. From room 3, basically, in terms of the anticipated challenges, we were able to establish the key one as resources. And this is both financial and personnel, just ensuring that we are actually getting the right skill for the job. And we also talked about time. We looked at this as being very time intensive, taking into consideration the team from the RLCs that would be working with the technical experts. Then we also said that alumni needs are very diverse. So how, again, do we ensure that their needs are balanced through this platform that is being proposed? Again, we also saw language as a challenge, taking into consideration that there are French-speaking countries, and also accessibility, bearing in mind that there are PWDs among the beneficiaries of this platform. We talked about internet connectivity, being that we are serving so many countries and some really struggle with access to the internet. And then we also said that it might even be a challenge to agree on the parameters of the platform, given that we have a lot of ideas coming from across board. So it might be quite a challenge to narrow down to the specifics that we really want for that. And in terms of solutions, we said that there's need to engage all the stakeholders to ensure that there is the buy-in from the get-go. And then we said it would be paramount to have an execution strategy, and this will detail the governance structure as well as the technology roadmap. And then we also talked about onboarding partners so that they can support various aspects, be it the technological aspect of it, be it language, accessibility, and also providing of resources for the same. And also just looking at the team and seeing where it is that they need capacity building. So basically, those are some of the thoughts that were going around in room 3. Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing. That is a very comprehensive list of the challenges that I think you know that your team could face if you're trying to really develop the platform. I'm curious what room, or is there someone else from room 3 who would like to share or add to that? Room 1 had a similar conversation initially. Would someone from room 1 like to share maybe some of the challenges or opportunities or ideas related to team composition as to how you might address some of these issues?
I think that we were room 3.
Okay.
So we continued the discussion that we had at the first breakout room. And one of the challenges that we highlighted was the data collection, and also having the right alumni chapter representative in the groups, and also the internal communications and how to make sure that the scope of work meet the expectations. So if we talk about the team, the idea was to include, as if you remember, we had like the working group, alumni working group as a team. And then we were thinking about including a finance person. And then the discussion went into having finally every unit represented in this working group, like the finance, the partnership, the M&E, the IT team, the communication, and the recruitment. The reason is that we noticed that everybody will, at a moment or another, use this alumni platform, be it for communicating with alumni or to make sure that the data were accurate. So, but another discussion was also, if we have all those people in this team, are we sure that we will reach our goal? And the idea was to pick people who had a direct interest in the project's success. Something they know, those people who know that this platform will make their job easier. So those representatives will be selected depending on how much their job is, let's say, how much the platform will have an impact in the daily job. Yes, I think that I covered everything, but if the team want to add something, they are more than welcome. Thank you.
Thank you for those comments. I appreciate that you also had some discussion around the functional expertise of the team members that you think would be beneficial on this group. Whenever I look into the literature or continue to read more on what is critical to high-performing teams, certainly top of almost every discussion is the composition of the team and ensuring that you have the right people in the team who are able to handle all of the different roles and responsibilities so that the team can function at a high level. And so I like that you have connected the functional expertise, whether it's in finance or IT or communications, with also the motivational component, whereby you're going to include people. I think as I was taking notes, your representatives will be selected based on how much they'll interact with the platform or how much they might benefit from the launch of this platform. And so by considering both of those elements, you've already considered putting together a team that is very vested in the successful launch of the alumni platform that we discussed in the first part of this. So thank you for those comments. We have reached the halfway point, and again, this may be the third time out of 3 workshops where I go past the halfway point, not intentionally without having a little break, but should we take a 5-minute break for another stretch? I know these sessions are long without one. Or should we keep going? Harry says thumbs up. Let's take a little 5-minute stretch. So it's 17 past the hour or 18 past the hour. Let's come back, but take this time to refresh our coffee or get a drink of water. We'll be back at 18 past the hour to go to our final breakout room and then wrap up the session. So thank you for your time. Okay, I think we're 18 past the hour, so welcome back. I am ready for us to start into the final breakout room of our session. And in this particular breakout room, what I'd like for us to do is take the information that we have to this point and really try to put some action steps to this. So I'm going to share my screen again with the charge for this final breakout room that we'll go into. So in this next 15-minute block together with your teams, what I'd like you to do is articulate the plan. And I know some of you have started with started doing this in the first 2 sessions. But think about these areas as you articulate a plan for the development of this team to address the goals that you've identified, establishing an alumni platform or engaging alumni in other ways. I'd like you to consider specific project and or team member expectations. And so if you determined that it would be helpful to have someone from finance on the team, what would be the expectations for that particular team member in their contributions? Would they be bounded in any way? Would they be open? Would there be collective expectations? Are there individual expectations for members? What kind of goals would they have? So these could be related to the process, to the functioning, or to the output for the team. What kind of accountability is expected for the team members? Will there be regular meetings? Will the work be done serially, sequentially? Think about how team members will collaborate on their work together. Ensure that you have realistic expectations for this team. So some of the challenges that I heard from the last session were related to financial challenges, personnel challenges, time challenges. I'd like for us to develop a plan that takes into account some of the challenges that we've identified, whether, again, related to data collection or making sure the scope meets the expectation, yet still moves us forward toward our goal that we identified in the first breakout group. And then also, I think it's very helpful, as we know from goal setting research, right, to establish time-bound outcomes. And so what are the dates by which we would like this team to reach certain milestones? Is it 1 week, 3 months? I had initially suggested that we choose something that could be accomplished in 6 months to a year. Maybe that's realistic for your discussions, or maybe that should be adjusted. I'll leave that to your expertise. But I'd like us to go into the next breakout room for approximately 15 minutes with this charge in mind, articulating a plan for building this team and launching it in a way that it will be successful with expectations, goals, accountability, and some time-sensitive outcomes. So let's open all the breakout rooms again. I'll have you join the breakout rooms. I'll again pop into the different rooms and either be a fly on the wall or join in the discussion if that can be helpful. We'll come back at 11 or 36 past the hour. Amy and Charlie, if I chat something, does that, it still goes to everyone in the chat, right?
I don't know that chat functions in the small groups.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't believe it does.
But I could maybe broadcast something.
Yes,
you can broadcast.
You can broadcast.
I'll broadcast some of these notes so that I know it was kind of a lot.
And Liz, I set my timer again, so we can close the rooms up at the right time. Oh, and you're muted, so I didn't hear anything you just said.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Oh, I said I set the timer.
Oh, perfect.
And so
Okay.
we'll bring everyone back at the
Okay.
designated time.
Great, thank you so much. I'm not used to having so much support in these Zoom sessions. It's
Certainly.
fantastic. I really appreciate it.
Of course. Hey, Charlie, we are at the time. Do you want to close the rooms?
Yeah, will do.
Liz, I see you're here as well. This is a good time to bring everyone back.
This will be great. Thank you. I was
Okay,
looking at
very
my
good.
notes for the last half. Thank you.
I'm working on my laptop, and normally I have, you know, two big screens, so it's challenging with all the layers going on here.
Yes,
Find
I have
everything.
the same challenges when I try to work on my laptop, and
Mhm.
especially if I do a big class, it's really, I can never get everything in a view that I like.
Yes.
Okay, I'm looking at the rooms and I think we are all back. So thank you for returning. Let's again have a debrief from the rooms to share what we determined would be items related to team member roles and expectations, goals, timelines, those issues that we identified as kind of important for setting the stage for our teams to be successful. Who would like to represent the conversation from breakout room 1? Rich, do I see
Okay.
you? Yeah,
Yes.
great.
Okay, so this is Rich from room 2. I was in the room with Carolyn, with Christian and David.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah, okay, so our projects, I mean, the specific projects that we and sustainability for. So specific, applying the SMART acronym, the project aims to establish a sustainable funds mechanism for alumni. And for measurable, it says that the success of the project, will be determined by the amount of funds generated and sustained over a specific. And for our accountability for all team members, we say that we say that so for accountability, we say that the alumni, the ability for donors, for corporate body and alumni population, that's their willingness to contribute, and also the capacity of team members to manage and promote the fundraising activities. Relevance for realistic, we were looking at, we say that, it is realistic because it addresses the need for sustainability of funds to support alumni related initiatives. And this is in align with the objective of the RLC. And also for time, we say that at the end of the year, we are, there should be a certain amount of money raised or realized from this specific project. So over a certain, over a year, that's 12 months calendar, we are looking at a certain target that has been raised or realized from the launch, of the alumni funds. So this was what we discussed in room 2. Thank you.
Thank you, Rich. That's very helpful. I may have missed a couple of your comments at the very beginning. My sound was kind of glitching, but you provided a lot of detail for all of the different areas. Did your team discuss how a specific fundraising goal for the end of the year? And when you said end of year, are you thinking end of 2023 or end of maybe a 12-month cycle, so by next June?
Yeah, so end of 12-month cycle.
Okay. And what would be an appropriate fundraising goal? Did you have a chance to discuss that with your team or with your breakout room?
No, we didn't have the chance to discuss on the fundraising goal, but if had the chance, maybe we will look at inviting corporate bodies, donors to showcase what the alumni is doing and the need to raise that funds.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sure. I think there's some wisdom in ensuring that there is buy-in and that those involved in doing the fundraising would be a part of developing that kind of goal. That would be an important kind of metric that you would want to establish too, obviously, right, as we think about launching these teams following these sets of meetings. So thank you for your contributions. From the other 2 breakout rooms, who would like to represent the conversations? From rooms 1 or 3?
I don't remember.
Okay, thank you.
My room number. But I can go ahead if you want.
Please.
So we continued in the same discussion, but we didn't have time to go through the different aspects. But we worked on the team member expectations and some measurable goals and accountability for all team members. And for the specific project and team members expectation, we spent a lot of time on the IT person, because we tried to determine what will be his job. And the idea was that we will have this person at the beginning because of the, let's say, the conception level. So the team will discuss about what they want, how they want it in a non-technical language, and then the IT person job will be to put it in a comprehensive technical document so that it can go to the different people who will work on it on an IT perspective. So we discussed also about the role of this person once the platform is implemented. So this person will be responsible to training different people who are involved in the project and who will use this platform. We talked about the expectation on the M&E person, what type of data will we collect, how we will collect it, when, etc. And what kind of information we should put so that we can extract our annual or quarterly target from the different alumni initiatives. We talked about the finance person, how he's going to help us respect budgeting, have it correctly detailed, not overspending or underspending the budget, and so We talked a little bit about the communication person and the internal and external aspect of communication, and then the partnership and recruitment. We didn't have time. We wanted to move to the next point, what was the measurable goals. And we defined some different, let's say, documents or steps that we need to go through. We talked about the TORs that will help determine what will be the team work. And then the non-technical document on what we are expecting from this platform, the budget, the platform prototype, the work plan of the different team members in the same group. And then we talked about the accountability for all team members. We were talking about this just when the time was up, and we were talking about reports from the different team members, and also the meetings, how they will be set up, and so on. Yes, and sorry, we couldn't finish.
I know,
and I was the only woman in the group again.
I know that it was a lot to tackle in a short amount of time. And I'm actually, as I was taking notes from your conversations, it sounds like you did hit many of the bullet points from that slide, and the depth in which you went in to describe the roles and expectations, kind of the goals, I think is really impressive. I'm encouraged that this is something that you could return to if you chose, and really not require a lot of time to, you know, kind of completely flesh out what would be these, you know, the remaining kind of expectations and goals, and then you could really kind of launch this team. So I think that's a fantastic start, and really what amounts to, you know, we had a 2-hour workshop, and the expertise that you had in your room kind of came together to really, I think, solidify a great plan for actually, you know, trying to launch and establish this alumni platform. So really great job. Let's see, one more room. Was it room 3, I think, that we have not yet heard from?
Yes, so in terms of room 3, starting with the realistic expectations, we didn't go to the detail of breaking down the expectation for each team member, but we did say that the expectations that we would be looking at would be for the team to develop the platform and ensure that it meets the specifications as shared by various stakeholders. We also said that another expectation would be for very clear specification on what is required of the team so that they are well guided in their execution. Then we said another expectation that would be especially from the team implementing this would be resources in terms of the financial and the technical aspect of it. And then we said overall as a project we would be expecting that this specific platform is delivered in a timely manner and also within the budget. When it comes to the goals, we said that it should speak to what we had already identified earlier in terms of it being a cross-regional platform, providing opportunities for networking and cross-border collaborations. In terms of accountability, we said that the fact that it's bringing together representatives from all the alumni, from all the working groups rather, be it partnerships, monitoring and evaluation, learning and curriculum. So basically establishing various checkpoints with all these people and ensuring that we are keeping them accountable to deliver on their end on what is expected of them, contributing to the overall success of the execution of the platform. So basically that's what we were able to discuss within the time period. Thank you.
Thank you for those comments. Another, I think, great summary of setting realistic expectations related to the financial, the technical, timely and in budget. I appreciate the amount of detail that the teams really did put into this. And I'd like to maybe, we only have a short amount of time left, but given the consensus around establishing an alumni platform as one of the goals for a team, I'd like to ask the group, how realistic is it that a platform could be established and launched within the next 12 months, so within 1 year? Is that a priority that you think should get the attention of a new group or a newly established group from your locations?
From my end, I would say it's a priority area. And I know members of the alumni working group would agree on the same. So if this is something that can be executed within that time frame that you say, it will really go a long way in supporting our efforts.
Mm-hmm. Great.
Just to add, maybe one challenge that we will meet to have this one is the budget.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think that we still didn't have a discussion about this budget at the Yali Africa level, and it will be time if you want to have it in the next coming year.
Yes. I think the very practical challenge of having the financial resources to launch something like this, or something that will, of course, need to be addressed by Yali Africa, as you pointed out, Kudi. So thank you for that. Throughout our time, I have shared with you in our discussion, and then you have brought back to our conversation many aspects of what we like to see in teams that we consider high performing. And so, I think that we can use this example is one that I hoped would be something that brought together the topics that you have discussed. I hoped that our time would kind of, I did not expect to have the same kind of goal come out of the three groups, but it did seem that we had a similar goal related to establishing the alumni platform or connecting alumni. But I hope that this time that we've had together for the past week, and then the week in May, fuels some of your work in ways that really continues to sustain the teams within your organization, but then kind of your broader community. I know that it can be very challenging to find time to work together. And so I hope that the time that I presented today and the opportunity for you to have conversations was valuable, just in terms of revisiting some topics and really thinking through what might be a nice next step for teams that you have. I submitted a PowerPoint slide, which I know has been sent to you which contains a lot of information. That is meant purely as a resource manual, as a guide, as something for you to refer back to if necessary. I knew that this topic was one where you had a lot of built-in knowledge and expertise. And so rather than take the time today to kind of go through that existing set of knowledge, I wanted this to really be an actionable time where we were together. So again, I hope you find it valuable. And as you think through what might be considerations for building and sustaining healthy teams, the resources that I provided in terms of the PowerPoint were meant to be kind of a reference for the conversation that we had. So I think that's all for today. Thank you so much for your time. It has been a sincere pleasure to be with you for these 3 sessions. I know that you have 2 more tomorrow, or kind of one topical session and then a wrap-up session. I'm going to turn the time over to Amy now so that she can actually wrap us up for the day. I wish you well. Please reach out at any time if you have questions or would like to stay in touch. I hope to have the opportunity to see you in person again sometime soon. Thank you so much.
And Dr. Karam, thank you so much for being with us these 3 sessions and for providing this wonderful space today to do some planning and thinking about how we can apply this to our teams. So many thanks. And yes, have a wonderful rest of your day. And for the rest of the group, we are going to meet for the last time for this workshop session tomorrow, same time, same place. The first session will be Cindy Redding. So those of you who were here in May will have gotten to meet her, and she's going to be talking about driving results using performance metrics to successfully implement strategy. And then our final session will be a time to review and integrate all of the different workshops that we've had. And we'll also have a graduation, our last half an hour. And Liz, you are welcome to come back for that if you are available. We're going to send out an email to all of the instructors. I know it's late notice, so it might not be possible, but we would love to have you back if you are available so we can complete our time together. All right. Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful evening.
Thank you so much.
Goodbye.
Great evening.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Thank you, Amy. Thanks, Elizabeth. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.